Absent.
Good evening. Welcome to the March 5th regular Findlay City Council meeting. My name is Grant Russell. I'm President Pro Tem. The mayor is out of town, and when the mayor is out, President of Council Harrington slides into being acting mayor, and I come over here, giving my friends on the back row there some extra space, and I run the meeting. So with that, we'll start with a roll call.
Mr. Ballman,
Here.
Mr. DeArmond,
Here.
Ms. Frishy,
Here.
Mr. Greeno,
Here.
Mr. Hellman, Mr. Niemeyer,
Here.
Mr. Palmer,
Here.
Mr. Russell,
Here.
Ms. Warnicki,
Here.
and Mr. Wobser.
And
Present.
Mr. Hellman informed John and myself that he would be absent from today's meeting. He is traveling out of state and moved for adjournment. Mr. Greeno, second. Mr. Ballman, all in favor of excusing Denny. Please say aye.
Aye.
And Denny is excused. And with that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. We'll start with the acceptance to our February 20th regular session meeting minutes. Mr. Palmer,
Move that the February 20th minutes be approved.
and second, Mr. DeArmond. Questions or comments? All in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
And the meeting and those minutes are accepted. Mr. Wobser, how about add-ons, replacements, or removals from the agenda?
Yes, sir. We have one replacement, and I'd make a motion that ordinance number 2024-33, which is the first 2024 capital improvement appropriation legislation, which is in our packet. There's a couple of changes to the header and section 1, just some updates and additional verbiage in there. Nothing major. I'd make a motion that that be accepted into our agenda tonight.
Second from Mr. Palmer. All those in favor of the replacement, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, and 2024-033 is replaced. And from there, we will move over to proclamations. Mr. Harrington, do you want to take us through the first proclamation?
Yeah. So good evening. We have a proclamation by the mayor, Christina M. Murin. Whereas the Hancock County Board of Developmental Disabilities was established in October 1952, and whereas the mission and purpose of Ohio's County Boards of Developmental Disabilities remain as strong as ever, with county boards continuing to provide vital supports and resources to Ohioans with developmental disabilities and their families. And whereas the more than 700 people with developmental disabilities served by the Hancock County Board of Developmental Disabilities, their families, friends, neighbors, and co-workers encourage everyone to focus on the abilities of all people. And whereas the most effective way to increase this awareness is through everyone's active participation in community activities and the openness to learn and acknowledge each individual's contribution. And whereas policies must be developed, attitudes shaped, and opportunities offered that allow people with developmental disabilities to live as independently and productively as possible in our community. And whereas we encourage all citizens to foster and support such opportunities that include full access to education, housing, employment, and recreational activities. Now, therefore, I, Christina M. Murin, Mayor of the City of Findlay, do hereby proclaim March 24th as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in Findlay, and offer full support to efforts that assist people with disabilities to make choices that enable them to live successful lives and realize their potential. I further encourage all citizens to join in this celebration by spreading awareness of the many contributions offered by people with developmental disabilities in our community. Witness thereof, the first day of March, Christina M. Murin, Mayor. And I think there's some of the staff here. If you'd like to come down front, I'll present this to you. And if you have any comments, you're welcome to make them.
We have Olivia here. She's in our Project Life program. Olivia, do you want to share anything about that?
How you doing?
Well, Olivia, I'm going to give this to you.
Okay.
All right? This is everything I just read, okay? And when you're done looking at it, make sure you give it to them. But let's look at them and get a picture, okay? You sure?
She's got
Okay.
it. All right. Olivia, look at me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, there you go. All right, congratulations.
And next, we'll move into the recognitions of retirements resolution. This would be resolution 011-2024. And once again, turning it over to Mr. Harrington.
All right, I'm coming down here for this. Okay, everybody can hear me? So this is resolution number 11-2024, resolution commending Deidre Rampton for her excellence of her services to the city of Findlay, Ohio. Whereas Deidre, who served the city of Findlay, Ohio for 16 years as a dedicated, loyal employee, retired effective February 29, 2024, where she began her career with the Civil Service Commission as a civil service clerk on January 14, 2008. She then transferred to the Civil Service / City Engineering Office as a clerk on January 3, 2016, before being promoted to Administrative Assistant 7 in the City Engineering Office Zoning Department on January 9, 2022, then to Administrative Assistant 8 on January 8, 2023, and lastly, she was promoted to Administrative Assistant 9 on January 7, 2024, a position she held until her recent retirement. And whereas Deidre has performed as an outstanding public servant in a loyal and dedicated manner to the citizens of the city of Findlay through her responsibilities within the Civil Service Commission, the Engineering Department, and the Zoning Department. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Findlay, State of Ohio, that the said Deidre Rathman be, and she is hereby commended for her long and loyal services to the city, and that this council extends its best wishes to her upon her retirement from the City of Findlay, Ohio, and that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from now and after the earliest period provided by law. Also, here's a little gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you very much.
You want to take a picture or anything? Open it up, make sure, make it all look pretty. I assume this is your husband.
It is.
Oh, well, I thought you could pick anybody to take a picture. All right, congratulations.
Thank you again, thank you.
No, unless you want, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I was just gonna say a couple, I wanna thank some people, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
It'll be
Red
brief.
light's on.
Thank you, Mayor Mern, city council members, administration, and the public in attendance tonight. I would first like to thank the Civil Service Commission members for hiring me as their clerk in January of 2008. Years later, a previous Civil Service Safety Director appointed additional duties in the Engineering Department while still maintaining the clerk position with the Civil Service Commission. I would also like to thank Jeremy Kalb and Eric Adkins for offering me the permanent full-time administrative assistant position in the engineering and zoning departments 2 years ago. It was a pleasure to work with both of you, and I appreciate that opportunity very much. After 48 and a half years in the workforce, much of it as a public servant, serving school districts in California and Ohio, prior to working for the city of Findlay, I have decided to retire. I greatly enjoyed working with the public. I am ready for my next adventure in life, full of family, friends, travel, and fun. I wish the city of Findlay the best in the future. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kalb.
Yeah, I just want to add in real quick. Deidre, while you're here, thank you for all your help over the years. When I first came in, she was a great asset to have within our department, even though she was within Silver Service. So that's what, we seen as a great person to bring over full time to the engineering and zoning staff. As everyone knows, for an office to run well, it starts with your people up front. And that's an example of, why our office is running well, because she was the front line for anyone that called in or anything like that. It was a great example of what the city of Findlay is wanting to present to the citizens. So thank you again for all your hard work and dedication over the years.
You're absolutely very welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Greeno, are you in the mood to make a motion on Resolution 011-2024? Deidre, don't go yet. We haven't passed this. And council looks like they're in a grumpy mood, so.
Since she's in a hurry to get out of here, I motion, as you said, yes.
For approval of Resolution 011-2024, second, Mr. Ballman. Other questions or comments, Mr. Stasiak?
I just want to say, as an elected official, I didn't have to talk to the Civil Service Commission very often, but you sure made it easy. Thank you for all the help you gave me and the ability I had to get done what I needed to get done to keep you guys happy. You did a wonderful job, and good luck to you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
Mr. Ballman.
Well, Deidre, like I said, we go back a lot of years. Some stories she could tell. I'm thankful she hasn't. Some of you know, maybe most of you don't, but when I was in high school and elementary, she was the office secretary. So she had to put up with me at a very young age, and some of you know that was a handful. And so I really just I'm glad to get to know her as an adult and see her career and happy for her to retire. That's great stuff. Thank you very much, Deidre.
You're welcome, Brian. I have 4 brothers. You were easy.
We already had the motion to adopt. So go ahead with roll call.
Yes, roll
Miss-
call, please.
Mr. Ballman,
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond,
Aye.
Ms. Frischi,
Yes.
Mr. Greeno,
Aye.
Mr. Hellman, Mr. Niemeyer,
Aye.
Mr. Palmer,
Aye.
Mr. Russell,
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki,
Aye.
and Mr. Wobser.
Aye.
With that, Resolution 011-2024 and Deidre's retirement is now official. Get out of the door. Go enjoy some baseball games. Thank you. We have no petitions. We have 4 oral communications, and we'll start with Kim Meter concerning oil ditch. So Kim, you're going to get 4 minutes, and I'll time you on the magic Apple iPhone. And please start with your name and address, and I'll start the clock when you're done with that.
Hi, I'm Kim, and the petition that you've got in front of you is
And your address,
oh, I'm
please.
sorry, 1895 Jessica Drive,
Thank you.
and I live out in West Park. The petition that I gave you is the handout that you see. What I am talking about today is what is outlined in the light green. In October, the mayor came to our block watch meeting and asked us if we would help her get this petition to get this ditch cleaned up. I've worked on this since November, first finding out that there were 3 ditches instead of just 1. The first ditch goes through the wetland and into Oak Woods, which at this current time, I'm not even going to bother talking to you about that one. The second one is Ariane Run, which is scheduled for work in 2025 and goes under 75. And from where I can understand it right now, when I talked with Mr. Parker, comes out from under Bliss, does not have anything to do with Oil Ditch, and comes out from Carlin through Bliss under 75 and goes down 75. So that one is something that they can work on in 2025. And then that leads me to Oil Ditch. Oil Ditch, as you can see, if you look at the big map on the other side, runs basically all through Findlay. But this petition part is the one that we are working on. And it has been petitioned numerous times, but this has been on petition since 2017 with funds, which the mayor gave to me, and the dollar amounts of $170,000 to put aside to have this cleaned up. And it's been in petition for this long. First, we thought it was an EPA problem, which there was an oil. There was an oil spill there. But it was cleaned up with small cleanup, and the EPA had it archived way back in 2015. So we know that that problem was taken care of. And it is not on the EPA list right now as one of the top 5 spots here in Findlay. That has been resolved. Then we went back and we looked at a few other things. So Kyle and I took another look at this again. And he said, well, I still think that there's another lawsuit, which we talked to the mayor. And she said, no, I don't think there's a lawsuit. So we did some more digging, found out, yes, there is. So I called and I talked to one of the commissioners here in town. And then he called around and called me right back and said, yes, there is a lawsuit. And it has been pending with Centrex Plastic. And so I said, well, who do I need to call about this? So I called up, got some information about this. This is where we stand today. We are in litigations with Centrex. All the reason this ditch has not been cleaned up since 2017 is over a bridge. There is a bridge that Centrex uses to get from their factory to the warehouse. And they are in litigation because we have to knock down this bridge to clean this ditch. Now, on the second page of this, you will see the properties that involve this is highlighted, where the project begins and the project ends. And all of this cannot be cleaned out because of the litigation with this bridge. And that's where we stand today. So I asked them, why can't we use eminent domain to just knock the bridge down? They can put up another bridge. So that's where we stand today. And the mayor asked me, that's what I have to tell her. Anybody got any questions?
Questions or comments? Ms. Frishy.
Who is we when you say litigation? That's not with the city, obviously, or I would
No,
think Don would know about that.
it is in the prosecuting attorney's hands.
For the county.
But the county's got it now. Since 2015? Since 2017. This has been going back and forth.
Mr.
Sounds
DeArmond.
expensive.
Jeremy, can we clean this ditch with the bridge in place? I mean, do we have to take the bridge out?
I'm not sure. I mean, this is a county petition ditch, so they are in charge of maintaining, cleaning, and all that.
Okay, so this is a county thing, not
Yeah.
the city.
So
Yeah.
the bridge. I mean, I couldn't speak to
Okay.
why the bridge needs to move or anything like that.
Okay.
Ms. Frishy.
Don, whether it's a county thing or not going on right now, since we've been dealing with, since 2019 with the water
17.
backing up, 17? Gosh darn it,
17.
okay. Since 2017, within the city limits with the water that backed up out in West Park, is there a way that we can work with the county to help move this along? Because obviously we have an interest and our citizens are being impacted. If in fact cleaning that ditch, Jeremy, is gonna fix that water issue, but that was what the impression has been for several years, I think.
I mean, I'll never say 100% that it will solve the problems. I can't guarantee one way or another, but any little help with that, would improve any kind of drainage movements through there.
Mr. Carino.
Did they mention when you talked to them why the bridge had to come down?
No, they
There
did
was
not.
no
They
conversation
don't wanna-
about that
They
at
don't even
all?
want to talk to me about that, because I went and talked to them.
That's unusual that you have to tear down a bridge to clean a ditch.
And it's not that big of a bridge.
Yeah,
It's actually
I know-
not
I
that
know
big
where
of a
you're
bri-
talking about.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not very
Centrex.
big.
Yeah, it's not very big at all.
Yeah.
I don't know
okay.
what the problem is.
Just seems odd.
Ms. Frishy.
So can we maybe reach out and try to, if that's a Rob question and not a Don?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. every 2 months or so, we do reach out to the Doug Kay, the county engineer, to kind of keep, where's the status update? What can we do to help? You know, we have this money that's sitting here to help facilitate. So we are actively trying to keep this on the front burner, but we keep getting the litigation answer. So there is no good answer at this point, but it's not for lack of trying to keep it on the front burner.
Mr. DeArmond?
Is it a culvert or a bridge? I mean, is it really a bridge? Like with abutments and a deck and a...
Please.
From what I remember being out there on a previous project, I think it's like a box culvert type thing. So if they were cleaning the ditch and they had to bench it back and put riprap down, it probably deals with the grading and stuff with that. I don't think it's like a pre-stretched bridge or anything like that. It's more of a box culvert.
Seems like we should be able to clean it without tearing it down, but I don't know. Okay.
So as a follow-up, can we have a conversation with County Engineer Cade and find out why that is, why that's a restriction? And I'm talking, I don't know, to Jeremy or Rob, and give Kim some answers as to why, and council as to why that bridge is why the rest of it can't be cleaned because with the bridge in place, and kind of just get some follow up on that. You'll get that, Rob?
Yeah, I'll talk with Kyle Parker.
I talked with Kyle.
So I'll
talked with
get with
Doug.
Kyle because I know he's kind of heading that project. So I'll talk with him about the project and figure out the ins and outs on that.
I can tell you who I've all talked to if you need to talk to the commissioner, but he's soon going to be out of office. So
Now, usually I think Kyle's running the.
Yeah, Kyle was
he's
running
the
it.
project manager on that. So I'll get with him and
because
figure out
he's got all the
that.
pictures and stuff that I've taken
Right.
of all the ditches too.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I'll get some feedback from him.
Mr. Wobser?
Kim, thank you for your hard work on this and putting all this information together. It's great.
Thank you.
Bring this to light. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate the legwork, and we'll get you some answers
You're welcome.
or some more information. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Next on the list, Haiti Sadler. Haiti, please state your name and address, and I'll start the clock when you have done so.
Haiti Sadler, 220 Defiance Avenue. City Council, during the last council meeting on February 20th, I challenged this administration and you as our elected officials, reminding everyone of the Republican values we stand on. In that oral communications, I requested Mayor Murin's resignation. Rather than letting me speak, I was gavelled down by President of City Council John Harrington for salacious speech. Salacious meaning obscene, grossly indecent. In the landmark case of New York Times versus Sullivan, 1964, the United States Supreme Court stated that the First Amendment protects our freedom of speech. Judges wrote, "This nation is founded on the profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues shall be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and that it may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. You don't have to like it, but I am well within my rights to speak freely against the policies of this administration. When our forefathers wrote freedom of speech as number one, it was by design." Next, I'd like to speak on smart cities. I'd like to address this issue that's also been denied by the administration. I took a close look at Planning Next, the firm out of Columbus that facilitated Findlay's strategic plan. I'd like to share some highlights of projects they're working on. All these cities have smart city initiatives and are smart city driven. Cuyahoga County. According to clevelandohio.gov, Cleveland is part of the Smart City Accelerator. Cleveland is to receive technical support to develop a smart city strategic plan. University City, Missouri. This city is a pilot program for smart cities. In 2020, they received a technology company completed the test for smart city technology. Knox County, Tennessee, and is part of Knoxville's Smarter Cities Partnership and launched in 2013 with a grant from IBM. Knoxville is prepping for 5G and smart city initiatives. Wayne County, Ohio, part of the 33 Smart Mobility Corridor, a corridor to conduct real-time world testing that can transmit real-time testing. City of Montgomery, Alabama, piloted a Rubicon City, which is technology for a smart city. Dayton, Ohio, 2020. Dayton, Ohio's Oregon District and the City of Middleton will be the latest to go online as smart cities or technology that uses interconnected sensors to gather information and manage assets. A few other cities for planning next: Lebanon, Ohio, Overland Park, Kansas, and Tuscaloosa, Alabama, all have smart city initiatives. While Mayor Murin continues to deny, my research proves otherwise, that we are building a smart city. Is it a coincidence that the Nordic Edge Smart City Roadmap lines up almost perfectly with Findlay, Ohio's strategic plan? From the words attractive city and connected city to an active community. Is it a coincidence that all the globalist companies that are being used in Findlay for our infrastructure, such as Metronet's 5G and Suez North America for our water, are all smart city infrastructure driven? Is it a coincidence that our smart electric meters and smart water meters are produced by companies that connect to the Internet of Things and use real-time data? Is it a coincidence that software used to run these devices is a part of the mesh wire network that connects us all in real time for smart cities? Is it a coincidence that Planning Next, who prepared Findlay's strategic plan,
30 seconds.
has prepared plans for cities with smart city initiatives? Is it a coincidence that the U.S. Department of Transportation invested in the Smart City Challenge won by Columbus, Ohio? It is the home of the implementation plan, and it's the home of Planning Next. From this information, can you prove that Findlay is not building a smart city? How many coincidences before you admit that you are following the Nordic Edge roadmap to smart, sustainable cities?
And that is 4 minutes. Thank you, Ms. Sadler. Questions for Ms. Sadler? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Michael Arabucky. Same thing, Michael. Name and address, and I'll start the clock when you...
Yeah, Michael Arabucky, 500 Fox Run Road, Findlay, Ohio. For the first time last week, I watched the city council meeting on YouTube, and I heard John Harrington telling somebody if he didn't like their tone of speech or whatever it was, he'd have them removed from the meeting. Actually, I think you should resign because of that. First Amendment, you can't take away their rights. Secondly, what about to everybody else who's sitting in here? Do you understand the First Amendment? Why didn't you guys say something? And then lastly, to the park. Am I correct, 1.5 million for a study for the new park? Was that correct? Here's a question to everybody in the city. If you're going to put out 1.5 million for a study, what's the chances it'll get turned down? And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Arabucky? And I'll just make one set of remarks concerning this. In council's rules of procedure under public communications, we discuss written communications and oral communications. And under oral communications, we have some items that are some communications that is not appropriate for council meetings. One is promoting of political candidates. Number two is just simple advertising. And then under part 5 of this is other prohibited remarks. Any person who causes actual disruption by making personal attacks, slanderous remarks, or disruptive conduct while addressing the council shall be barred from further participation in the meeting by the presiding officer unless permission to continue is granted by a majority vote of council members present. The purpose of city council meetings is to conduct statutorily required city business. It is not an infringement on freedom of speech by having these restrictions on the comments that are applicable or allowable at a city council meeting. It is we can't tell you what you can and cannot say on the public square, but in the committee meeting, in a council meeting and a committee meeting, these rules do control the discourse, and I believe that is what President Harrington was remarking at the last meeting. And with that, we'll move on to Laura Ewing.
No, I have a question comment. I'd like to.
Laura Ewing.
I have a question comment. Since you were able to make a statement to the citizen, I would like to make
Okay.
a statement.
Ms. Frishy.
Sir, I apologize for what you have to see here in this council. We should and we will, if we have proper council people in office and president and a president pro tem, we will give people their constitutional right. And you are correct in the statement that you said, and I fully support you. And I tried to say that. But if you have one more comment, since you did not use your 4 minutes, I would be glad to hear it on the record.
Ms. Ewing.
No, I'm sorry. Point of order.
Miss Ewing.
Point of order. Here we go
Miss
again.
Ewing.
Mrs. Ewing, can you please give one moment for this gentleman? I would greatly appreciate it.
President Pro
don't-
Tem.
No.
Ms. Frishy, you were out of order.
You were out of order.
Miss Ewing.
This is ridiculous. Please let him speak.
Per the rules, it has to be a
You're not
majority of
council president today, you're mayor.
That is important.
What did you say, sir?
Their policies do not overrule our First Amendment rights. This is a public meeting.
Miss Ewing.
Thank
Sorry
you.
for that.
Will you hold the city harmless if there was a federal lawsuit? Will you indemnify the city?
Something that's not true.
Thank you, Ms. Ewing.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Ewing, thank you.
Yep. Good evening. My name is Laura Ewing, and I'm a planner with Hancock Regional Planning Commission. I'm here this evening to discuss and answer any questions about ordinance number 2024-32. On February 8th, the City Revolving Loan Committee reviewed and approved a 5-year loan in the amount of $120,000 as requested by Beckett's Burger Bar. Ordinance 32 appropriates and approves that loan. Please note that the City Revolving Loan Fund uses federal funds that originated with HUD. The loan fund does not use any City of Findlay funds. As has been practiced in the past, we are requesting that the City Council waive the 3 readings and pass the ordinance on an emergency basis. This is so that the loan can be completed in a timely manner. They are hoping to close by March 22nd or March 29th. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Stasiak.
I just want to share for the benefit of council, I serve as an ex officio member on the board as a voting member. It was nice to see the RLF fund get used again. It's been some time. And I also want to emphasize to you, there's a lot of talk in the community now, particularly from economic development at the Alliance, that they want to see incentives. This is a phenomenal incentive program for our people. Basically, the purpose of the RLF fund is when there is gaps, it's gap funding. So someone buys a business, someone's growing a business, someone's trying to do something that we want to encourage, and the banks won't fund the entire project. They come to the RLF fund through regional planning and ask for your monies to augment those funds. So in this case, there's a specific percentage. The rates are very discounted, and I used to like Jim Ferguson. He said some funny things in some of these meetings. He's like, we're supposed to give money to people nobody's going to give money to because we want to see it happen. So I want to put that in your mind, that you do have a phenomenal incentive program here, and I'd sure like to see HRPC promoted a lot more, particularly with the balances that we have in that account right now. There's a lot of money that should be used for this, and we shouldn't give it up for anything other than RLF-type incentives, and I think it's a great thing, and it really got us through COVID and a few other things. We had some great things happen.
Other questions or comments? Thank you. Written communications.
A letter from McComb Mayor Kathy Schroll regarding administer Village of McComb income tax collection services.
Questions or comments, Ms. Frishy?
Can we have that read in since we're still discussing that ordinance?
Second, Mr. Palmer. All those in favor of having this letter read into the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Aye. And
I need to do a roll call because I couldn't tell.
so I think that was 7-2. So we'll have the letter read.
Honorable Mayor Mern and Findlay City Council members, thank you for considering the request from the Village of McComb to have the City of Findlay provide income tax collection services for our village. Nearly 3 years ago, our current fiscal officer reached out to the Findlay Income Tax Department via email to inquire about services they could provide for tax collection. She was informed that Findlay was in the process of researching new software and might entertain adding McComb once the software was installed. We had a long-standing tax administrator, and we were beginning to explore options if and when needed for the future. Regrettably, on October 9th, 2023, without any notice, the tax administrator resigned during a council meeting. The following morning, the village contacted Mary Price to see if they would consider taking on McComb as had previously been discussed. On October 18th, 2023, I sent a letter to the Findlay Income Tax Board requesting their consideration to administer our income tax collection services. The fiscal officer and I attended the Findlay Income Tax Board meeting on November 1st, 2023. At that time, the tax board voted not to accept the village, but still wanted additional information. There was discussion they may have a special meeting in December, and with that being said, the village held out hope that Findlay would be open to accept us. Unfortunately, the tax board meeting did not materialize, and McComb waited until their next scheduled meeting on January 11th, 2024. At that meeting, the vote was to accept McComb with additional information still being requested by the tax board. The requested information dealt with Rita and CCA, who handles tax administration. In October, we looked at both options and decided we prefer the convenience and personal service Findlay would provide to our residents. For example, if you had to call in to speak to someone at the Findlay Income Tax Department, it is likely you would talk with fewer people or the same person. Rita and CCA are very large companies, and it would be just a name and a different person every time. Findlay would be the best scenario for our taxpayers who are used to personal service when needed. Also, with a close proximity to McComb, this certainly would make the transition less stressful for our residents. The McComb Council passed Ordinance 2024-2 on February 12, 2024, authorizing the McComb Mayor to enter into a tax collection service agreement with the City of Findlay. I attended the City of Findlay Council meeting on February 20th, 2024, and greatly appreciated your attentiveness to this critical matter. Unfortunately, due to meeting time constraints, what started nearly 6 months ago has now become a matter of utmost importance for our small village, who relies on almost exclusively on our income taxes for revenue. We sincerely feel that working together would be a win-win for both us, as many of our taxpayers may be filing with both the City of Findlay and McComb. Taking on the Village of McComb with an estimated 800 taxpayers would only be a 2.35% addition to our current 34,000 accounts, your 34,000 accounts. We realize that this is a service agreement and that there are costs associated with this collection. The village is willing to pay those associated costs. Finally, as we are now approaching tax collection deadlines, I hope you will consider this request in a timely manner. If you would like to contact me, please feel free to call me at 419-722-3312 or email me at cscschroll@villageofmacomb.com.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed. Reports of municipal officers and municipal departments.
A letter from President Pro Tem Russell regarding ad hoc committee on 2024-2025 council rules of procedure review. This requires this creation of this ad hoc committee requires council's confirmation.
Mr. Wobser.
Make a motion to approve the nomination.
Second, Ms. Warnicki. Questions or comments? Ms. Frishy.
What is the reason for redoing council's rules of procedure since that just was completed? What's the detail of the agenda?
I believe that most everyone can agree that our last meeting was not our finest hour. And after the meeting, I heard from 8 of 10 council members requesting that an ad hoc committee be called. The purpose of council meetings is to conduct city council business as required under Ohio Revised Code. Therefore, I'm calling for the formation of the ad hoc committee. Ms. Frishy.
So what, out of the 8 of the 10 council members, what is it that we're trying to accomplish by reopening council's rules of procedure? What is the goal of reopening this?
To ensure that our meetings run in the smoothest way possible, and that ensure that the
So
meeting.
you want to change rules?
Correct.
Because
That
of
is what-
because of the citizens.
Because of eight of 10 council members asked that I form a ad hoc committee. Ms. Frischi.
So if one of the 3 members on the ad hoc committee could inform me, please, on what our goal is. Are we trying to not allow citizens to speak? Are we trying to change how our council president operates? What is your goal? I would like to know what the 8 council members' concerns are that are enough to want to address council's rules of procedure yet again.
Mr. DeArmond.
We would like to improve the public input process.
Mr. Stasiak.
That being said, I'd like to share something that's a concern for me that you guys changed in your rules some time ago. And that was, we do have a pretty active and aware and intelligent community here in the city of Findlay, Ohio, and they've expressed views several times in the past on projects that we've done, sometimes major projects like downtown improvements, bump outs, things like that. Sometimes they've even gone to votes. But you guys changed a rule, and it doesn't make sense to me as an administrator and as an elected official, and I think the public deserves to know that the rule exists, that if someone objects and writes a letter to this body and it's properly named and addressed and it's a Findlay resident, that objection is not read into your record unless a majority of you who are voting probably against the objection allows it to be read into the record. And the end result of that has been many topics that people in our community object to. There's no historic record of their objections. And I can tell you, as a person who is an elected official who is concerned and who sees that happen and who loves history, I think that's unfortunate. And I hope this committee would take a look at that issue as well, because I think there would be some benefit in reconsidering how you approach letters even when they object to what you might be doing. And I offer that constructively and respectfully for your consideration.
Other questions or comments? All in favor of forming the ad hoc committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Nay.
And that would
2
be
nay.
7-2.
Didn't we just go from 6 to 5 to 4 minutes?
Sorry, I'm making a note here. So the
We're on the, yeah.
motion to accept the committee is passed.
Pretty vague.
Officer shareholders disclosure form from the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control for Findlay Arco Incorporated, located at 1831 Fostoria Avenue, for a C1 liquor permit. A check of the records show no criminal record for those who applied.
Mr. Wobser.
Make a motion, no objection be filed.
Second, Mr. Baldwin. Questions or comments? All in favor that no motion be made, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. And no objection will be filed.
Letter from Hancock Regional Planning Commission Director Matt Cordonier regarding City of Findlay Revolving Loan Fund request for appropriation for Beckett's Burger Bar in Findlay.
Questions or comments? Letter be filed.
A letter from City Engineer Kalb regarding first capital improvement appropriation of 2024.
Questions or comments? Mr. Stasiak?
Real quick, do we have a target date for the capital improvements meeting? I'd like to share that with our new municipal advisor.
Yeah, I've been talking with Councilman Wobser on this. We're going to set one tonight. But yeah, I'm ready to go on that. As everyone knows, it takes a while to get this. Once Jim gets all his books closed and all that kind of stuff, then I can get my revenues, then I can get my starting year balance. So it is a time-consuming thing on our end, but I'm ready. So we're going to work out a date on that, and you all will be invited for it.
Yeah, Jim, we have a couple of things that are coming up tonight on appropriations. So we were trying to decide where we wanted this to fit in, get it done as soon as possible. We're thinking it's going to take about an hour to go through it, and we'll get that scheduled here within the next week or so. And it'll be an appropriations committee meeting, but I'll just let everybody know. Obviously, all of council is invited to attend if they would like.
Mr. Stasiak.
Just for your benefit, I know the municipal advisor is scheduled to be in town on the 11th. He has a meeting with the mayor earlier in the day, and then a meeting with him and our bond council that afternoon. So keep that in mind too. I'm not trying to tell you you have to do it then, but just it would be convenient since they're coming from out of town.
Other questions or comments? Letter be filed.
A letter from City Engineer Calb regarding 2024 annual street resurfacing curb repairs, Contract A, concrete, project number 328-40100.
Questions or comments? Jeremy, newcomer once again, are they, with warm weather, are they ready to go? And does an early start for them put us in position to potentially do add-ons in the summer or fall if economic conditions warrant?
Yeah, so right now they are planning to start on the 21st if this gets approved on the 20th. So this will be able to get 2 readings, but I'll have to get contracts turned around in pretty much a day on that. But they are wanting to take advantage of the warm weather and have us being the first project for them in the year. There's a lot of work out there right now. He said there's a lot of private work as well, so we're not going to see prices go down any soon or any faster because there's a lot of work out there right now. So sooner I can get them rolling and moving on stuff, then we can get our asphalt in here. And like you were saying, we plan on doing a couple alternates with that.
Well, if it was passed tonight, I mean, we do concrete, and this is standard procedure. If it got passed tonight, do they start before the 21st?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll start saw cutting and bringing cones in and stuff.
Okay, thank you. Letter be filed. Oh, any other questions or comments for Mr. Calb? Letter be filed.
The February 5th, 2024 Immigration Task Force meeting minutes.
Questions or comments? Minutes be filed. Committee reports.
The Appropriation Committee, to whom was referred a request for an introduction, Municipal Advisory Services, Andrew Brozert. We recommend no recommendations.
Do we even have to approve the next letter? Questions or comments? Next letter.
The Water and Sewer Committee met on February 21st, 2024 to discuss West Park Capital Project Review and update on specific addresses identified by West Park Block Watch. We recommend an informational meeting, and that City Engineer Calb presentation be attached to the minutes.
Mr. Palmer.
Move to accept the committee report.
Second, Mr. Ballman. I'll make a real quick comment. I thank Jeremy for his work and his team's work in putting together the presentation. I thought it was a very good meeting. I think we went about an hour and a half, and I tip my hat to Robin Welly and her folks for participating in the meeting. I think we got a lot of questions answered, and I left it feeling good that we got a lot of questions answered, and that it was a successful meeting. Other questions or comments? Ms. Frishy.
Jeremy, I don't know if or Rob can answer. I know today's been a pretty rainy day. Were they able to get some samples over there?
Mr. Calb.
I didn't, but I know we've talked with our sewer department, and it was after we had the sewer and water meeting. There was another rain event, and they collected samples
Good.
as well, but I can't tell you
No
today.
results.
But I know since we've had the meeting, we've communicated with them. Dave Beach, our superintendent, and they're
Awesome.
collecting samples when they can.
Thank you.
Great. All in favor of approving the committee report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Committee report is approved.
The Water and Sewer Committee met on February 21st, 2024 to discuss the Hancock County Commissioner's request concerning Eastgate Hickory Lane subdivision sanitary sewer. We recommend the county to continue to explore grant funding for the construction of an 8-inch zero-gravity sewer estimated to cost between $800,000 to $850,000. The committee was generally in support of the engineering concept.
Mr. Palmer.
Move to accept the committee report.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Mr. DeArmond.
So we had a
good meeting with Commissioner Mike Pepple.
Make sure your mic's on, please.
We had a good meeting with Commissioner Mike Pepple and his staff. So Eastgate's on the south side of 224 across from the Birchhaven campus. There's 15 properties on Hickory Lane that use grinder pumps and a pressure system that currently feed into our sanitary system. So the system's owned and maintained by the county. The system's old and the maintenance cost is increasing. So their preferred option is installing an 8-inch gravity sewer, $800,000 to $850,000. This would be the county commissioner's project. They're trying to secure grant funding. So once the debt was retired, they'd like to transfer that line, that sewer line, to the city. So the committee was generally in agreement with it. It's a good project, so we are going to work to yes. There's still a lot of details to work out, but so there's no further action required on our part at this time.
Other questions or comments? All in favor of accepting the committee report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Committee report is accepted. Legislation.
Third reading for ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Palmer,
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2024-17.
second, Mr. Wobser. Questions or comments? All in favor of passing ordinance 2024-017, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
And the ordinance is adopted.
Third reading for ordinance 2024-20, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to advertise for bids where required and enter into contracts for the construction of the Blanchard Street Water Line Phase 2 OPWC Project Number 357-40500, appropriating and transferring funds thereto and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Greeno,
Move for approval of ordinance number 2024-020.
second, Mr. DeArmond. Questions or comments? All those in favor of ordinance 2024-020, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
And Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Third reading for ordinance 2024-21. An ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to sell city-owned property located at 515 Prospect Street, parcel number 570000921770, by public auction and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ballman,
I move for adoption of ordinance number 2024-021.
second, Mr. Palmer. Questions or comments? All those in favor of passing ordinance 2024-021, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2024-24. An ordinance to authorize the city auditor of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to create a bank of 8 hours for each full-time employee of the city of Findlay, Ohio, for the total solar eclipse event on April 8th, 2024, and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Frishy,
Can I ask a question?
not until we have a motion.
Sometimes.
Oh, actually, on this, is it just a question? It's not a conversation amongst council. It's just a question.
No,
around-
so I'm good.
Yeah, good.
So the question I have is, and maybe it's to the auditor, I don't know. When we are labeling it as administrative leave, what's the difference between administrative leave or if we gave an extra holiday?
Mr. Stajak.
Since I'm just the paymaster, I'm going to defer to the service safety director.
The one time he doesn't want to input.
Okay.
Should
He
try
just
this more
moves
often.
the money, but
So the difference, the reason we did the administrative leave is because we can put that in a bucket, and it's not dealing with overtime when you talk about holidays or accruals or anything like that with vacation. So Some people are going to be off that day. We don't want them to feel obligated to use their vacation time they've earned and accrued over time. Some individuals, because of their role, are going to have to work. And we didn't want to get into that situation of paying someone holiday pay and somebody staying home. So this was fair and equitable to be able to provide everyone, regardless of what their role is, 8 hours of administrative pay. And it's fair and equitable. It's not overtime. It's not vacation accrual. I worked with the deputy auditor to actually, we're able to create a bucket. So this will be used this year. People that stay home that day because their office is closed or whatnot, they'll use that 8 hours that day. But firefighters, public works, police, et cetera, who are going to be working that day, they're going to be paid for the hours they work that day, whatever it is, for the services they're working. They'll have 8 hours at another time in the future than 2024 that they'll be able to use that 8 hours, trying to keep equity across the table without worrying about creating holiday pay or time and a half and any other noise that we would work with the labor practices, if that makes if
Yeah,
that
I was
answer your
just trying to
question.
clarify. Yeah, you did
Okay.
it. You did it, Rob.
Oh,
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
Mr. Palmer.
I don't know if this is for Rob or Jim. Does it make any difference if we were to pass this tonight or in the next meeting for administering this?
Yeah, the timing of this actually will work out, will be good if it goes till the next meeting.
Other questions or comments?
I'll make the motion.
There's only
Ms. Frishy.
They said it was fine, right?
Huh? I thought you said we were good to go now. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they said it was better to get it done now, and it's just simple to get it done. All right. if nobody wants-
It is, for clerical purposes, it would be better to have it done sooner than later so that the auditor's office, not to speak, but Ginger said so we could create the buckets and establish that. But we did time it out that we will be able to have enough time before April 8th to get this done with another reading. Council's choice.
Mr. Wobser.
Now that we have a difference of opinion from the other side of the room, I will second Ms. Frishy's motion. Thank you.
Yeah, everybody has to say aye. We're in trouble.
So we have first and a second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All those in favor of suspending council's statutory rules, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Niemeyer. Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Aye.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. Tiarmont.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Aye.
And Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its third reading.
Ordinance 2024-24.
Mr. Wobser.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Palmer. Questions or comments? All in favor of adoption of ordinance 2024-024, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki.
Aye.
Mr. Wobser.
Aye.
Mr. Ballman.
Aye.
Mr. Tiarmont.
Aye.
Ms. Frishy.
Aye.
And Mr. Greeno.
The ordinance is adopted.
Aye.
Sorry, Mr. Niemeyer.
The ordinance is adopted again.
I saved the best for last. Second reading for ordinance 2024-25. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Findlay, Ohio to enter into a collection services agreement with the village of McComb to administer, enforce, and collect taxes levied by McComb on certain incomes and net profits of residents, non-residents, and business entities operating or conducting business in McComb, Ohio, in accordance with said village income tax ordinance and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Wobser.
Mary, would it be beneficial at this point to get this put into place? I mean, April 15th is in looming.
Mary, please come to the.
I thought there couldn't be discussion until we had a motion. Just saying.
It would be beneficial to have it passed tonight, just so we can get with our software vendor to get everything squared away, because we can't do anything with the software vendor until this is passed, and we can't do anything with McComb until we get with the software vendor. So it would be beneficial to have it passed tonight, but council's
Understood.
choice.
Thank you.
Stay, Mary. More questions. What kind of ramp up time would you expect to need upon upon passing of an ordinance, how long do you think it'll take before you can start really accepting returns from the city of McComb?
Sure. So that is going to lie a lot on how long it takes the software vendor to add all of the McComb accounts to our software. They made it seem like it would not take very long to add that few of accounts to our system. It would just be a matter of actually being able to do that. So
Has McComb been working with the software vendor in anticipation of a positive outcome, so that McComb is prepared to take advantage of this?
I have been working with the software vendor to make sure they have all of McComb's information in the event that it does pass.
Thank you. Mr. Wobser.
With that information, I'd make a motion that council's rules be suspended and this legislation be given its third reading.
Second, Mr. Ballman. We have a motion to suspend council's statutory rules and give ordinance 2024-025 its third reading. All in favor of that motion, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended and ordinance 2024-025 will be given its third reading.
Ordinance 2024-25.
Mr. Ballman.
I move for adoption of ordinance number 2024-025.
Second, Mr. Wobser. Questions or comments? Ms. Frishy.
So at the last meeting, I thought the best thing to do would be to help out McComb and get them on our system, but I also think it's important in the auditor's view to make sure that our numbers are adding up, and we haven't done that. And I'm not looking at McComb only. We have multiple villages that we handle. Have you worked on any of those numbers?
Yes, I have a couple of proposals that hopefully at the next income tax board meeting I will be bringing as far as service fee scenarios go.
Are they considerably different
The scenarios or
compared to where
amount?
we're at?
Yes, it's going to obviously
Make the
mean
auditor
more,
happy.
more revenue for the city, but not to where we lose any of them. Hopefully, that's kind of the goal.
Okay.
Mr. Stasiak.
I guess I appreciate that. And that being said, I guess the question is McComb aware of that so that they don't enter into something they might want to run away from? And we just have a quick year where we put a lot of time in and everything. And if they have, I certainly understand.
Sure. Yeah, McComb is aware that we're reevaluating our service fee structure.
Mr. Palmer.
Are the other villages that we perform tax services for aware of that as well?
We haven't informed them yet. However, in the annual contract, we state that we're allowed to reevaluate and restructure. We just have to give them 6 months notice. So we just have to do so by June.
Mr. DeArmond.
Our auditor mentioned that we're taking some of these folks to court. And so are you looking at, I don't know how it's structured to get reimbursed for our lawyers to take these folks to court, but are you looking at those kind of administrative fees too on collections too?
So the court costs eventually are turned back and charged to the taxpayer, regardless of if it's Findlay or a village. So it's really just the taxpayer paying for the court costs eventually.
And the lawyer's time.
We typically just go through our city law director he signs garnishments and that sort of thing, but we can reevaluate that also if it's requested.
Ms. Frishy.
What was the cost to bring a village online?
Online, like
Well, you're saying we have to get them online. What's that cost?
They have not given me a quote yet. However, McComb has agreed to pay the startup fee. However, with 800 accounts, they said it would not be major.
So they have that in the form of a different contract than everybody else?
when we took on the new software vendor, we had everybody already in our system from the other villages. So in order to charge the existing villages, they are being billed just for our 2023 regular billing process, which is divided amongst the villages with the operating expenses total. So the other villages are paying for the new software. It's just since we're adding.
But you have a estimated cost. You know, we're not going to charge you $10,000, and you're going to say, hey, here's a check, maybe 100. No, I mean, you know what I mean. You have an idea. So what kind of idea are you giving? I feel like you're flying blind with me right now. We're kind of hemming and hawing, and I want to get them over to us.
I haven't received a quote. I can't tell you because I haven't received one for adding McComb.
Mr. Wobser.
But they have agreed to pay the startup costs.
Yes.
So we're covered regardless.
Yes.
Do you have a contract on that?
I am asking her.
And
She has
said
been in
no.
contact with them, and she said yes.
Mr. Kalb.
I don't want to speak for Mary, but you know, with software, a lot of times I'm dealing with this with the GIS, and you know, this kind of plays in with that too. You have a system that's built and you already have it done. Now you got to add someone else in. They don't know how much input they have to do. They don't know how much, you know, manipulation with the data to do. Is it all hand placed in? Can they just directly upload it and all that kind of stuff? So a lot of times you don't get some of those estimates until they actually see the hard data and see how much work has to go into it. Because they could say, like you're saying, they could say, oh, it's $10,000 and then it's $100. You can't run a bit. You can't do business like that because then no one's going to do. You know, no one's going to go with that software because it's a guess every time. So once they get that data, and if McComb is saying they're going to cover that, once we get that quote, Mary will give McComb the quote from the vendor saying, hey, this is how much it's going to cost to bring you guys into our system on that. So having a quote is going to be tough to say to the dollar what it is.
Ms. Frishy.
I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, good business practices, we're going to give you a contract and we're going to tell you what we're charging you. I feel like you're flying blind a little bit, and so are we. And I'd like to pass this tonight, but you're telling me you're giving numbers to the software company, so they have those numbers. Somebody's got to know something more in order to give them a contract so we can say, hey, we're going to start you up and here's that fee that you're agreeing to pay, and then here's the contract that's matching everybody else. And yes, you understand that we are going to reevaluate in June and change everybody's rates to whatever the income tax board agrees to. So I feel like they deserve it and we deserve it, so we know that we're all on the same page and that we collect it and it's a fair number and it's a reasonable number, and then the contract is separate. So this is the contract, right? The ordinance is for the contract to match what we're doing in the other villages.
For the collection services, correct.
So there should be a resolution, Don, for the other part? For this, what they're agreeing to pay even though they don't know yet?
Mr. Rasmussen.
Well, we've done this a number of years, collecting on the taxes. So
collecting, I'm not questioning.
Okay.
I'm questioning the startup costs that we're going to transfer to them to come into our new system. They don't know it. I don't know it. I don't have a problem with the contract. But
and I don't know that number either.
Oh, do you want to say something?
Mr. Baumann.
I make a motion, we call the question.
A second.
She had a question. The mayor had a question from McComb, as we're calling the question on Councilwoman Frishy as usual.
Sorry, I didn't see you there. Come on up. Not only come up, introduce yourself and.
Hello, I am Kathy Stroll, the mayor from McComb. And if you recall in the letter that I just sent to all of you, I did say that the village of McComb is aware that there will be a startup cost for input. So that, to me, that you have it in your file.
Not
Our-
above and beyond, you're okay.
It is our word that we will pay Findlay City for whatever the cost would be to add our clients.
Which is
Thank
fine,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
So we had a motion to adopt.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. All those in favor of the passing the ordinance or of adopting the ordinance, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
And Mr. Russell?
Aye. The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2024-27. An ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or service safety director of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to take bids and enter into contracts for insurance coverage for airport liability, automobile, boiler machinery, contractors' equipment, crime insurance, police professional liability, public officials' errors and omissions liability, real and personal property, and declaring an emergency. Second reading for ordinance 2024-28. An ordinance authorizing the mayor, service safety director, and/or city engineer of the city of Findlay, Ohio, to advertise for bids where required and enter into contracts for the purchase of a replacement sanitary vector, appropriating funds thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Greeno.
Yeah, Jeremy, just correct me if I'm wrong. This was money that we were trying to buy a Vector last year. There were no Vectors available for us to buy. And so now we have a Vector set up somewhere. I mean, we're ready to purchase a Vector now.
Mr. Calb.
Yeah, there's pretty much one waiting for us to make the purchase. It came towards the end of the year, and we couldn't get the money appropriated. So we just decided to wait through because they said they would hold it for us until the next year. So yeah, there is one readily available that we could purchase immediately on.
Mr. Wobser.
Jeremy, was this part of our capital budget for 23?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. We had money appropriated for that, but it was never spent. So the money goes back into the account. So then we got to reappropriate it.
Mr. Greeno.
Since this is such a valuable piece of equipment for the water pollution control and the sewer maintenance, would like to suspend rules on this and have this give its third reading.
Second, Ms. Warnicki. We have a motion to suspend council statutory rules. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
And Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and ordinance 2024-028 will be given its third reading.
Ordinance 2024-28.
Mr. Greeno.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2024-028.
Pretty much everybody else a second, but we'll go with Mr. Palmer because he's sitting under Mr. Greeno's nameplate. Questions or comments? Ms. Frishy.
Jeremy, just quick, what we budgeted last year and then the cost this year, did it go up, down, stay the same?
It did go up.
By?
I think it went up 50,000 roughly. I think from last year. From what we appropriated to this year, it went up 50,000.
Mr. Wobser.
Jeremy, so how many Vectors is this replacing one? So
Yeah.
we're taking one out of service?
So no. So we'll have the sewer department will be having two Vectors that will be running for this. This Vector, the 2010, is going to be rotated down to the public works department because they use it quite a bit on manholes and stuff like that.
Right.
They have an older model. I think it's a 2004 or older. So we'll actually be putting that through a Gov Deals auction. But that way we can kind of upgrade our fleet throughout the whole city without having to purchase a new one.
So ultimately, we'll just end up with two.
Sewer department will have two of them ultimately.
No, wait a minute. You said you were moving one down.
Yeah, so the sewer department has a storm one and a sanitary. And then the public works one will take this old sanitary.
Okay, and that gives them their first. So we're going to have a total of 3
In the whole city, we have a total of 4.
right now.
Yeah, we have 1 at water, 2 at sewer, and we have 1 at public works.
And we use all of those all the time. We're not.
We're using them more and more with hydro excavation because and emergency calls and all that kind of stuff. You have fiber lines, telephone lines.
Oh, yeah.
Gas,
I've
all
seen
that,
'em at
you know,
work.
all
They're
that.
great,
So
yeah.
we're using them more and more just to get repairs done as soon as possible.
All right.
Mr. Greeno.
Yeah, just to clarify a little bit, the sanitary sewers, those are used almost every day to clean sanitary sewer lines. We have miles and miles of sewers, and same with storm catch basins. You know, they're cleaning the catch basin, so those are used every day by the sewer departments.
Ms. Frishy.
We don't intermix them, right?
What do you mean intermix?
Well, we
I
have
guess?
them in 4 different departments, so we don't mix the sanitary one.
Well, I mean,
It doesn't hurt anything.
no, it doesn't hurt. Now, you don't want to mix your water one with your sanitary one. You know, that's kind of,
Well, that's-
it stays on its own. But if we had an emergency situation where we had to call in the Public Works one because we had to get backers out there to do a repair, it's nice having those capabilities because we got to make a simple phone call to Public Works and say, hey, we need your backer out here right now. We got a major roadway that, you know, it needs, or pipe that needs repaired.
So the sanitary one does more. That's why it costs more. The cost is higher.
Well, they do root cutting, they do
Nothing
jetting and all
different,
that.
no
It's not
different bells
just,
and whistles.
you know,
Okay.
sucking up dirt. They're doing a lot of other work within the pipe itself too.
Mr. Martin.
Just to Councilman Wobser's point, we actually are in the process of doing a citywide evaluation of our fleet, so we can actually try to look at economies of scale. And to your point, we have 4 of them. Is there an opportunity to consolidate, eliminate one, and then we can actually work through the logistics of optimizing the time that they're being utilized versus sitting? So we're in the process of that right now. Hopefully in the future, we can actually eliminate some things and create more efficiencies.
Other questions? All those in favor of ordinance 2024-028, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
And Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
Second reading for ordinance 2024-29. An ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director of the City of Findlay, Ohio to file an application with the Department of Homeland Security Federal Emergency Management Agency Assistance to Firefighters Grant for firefighter training and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Palmer.
Since this is just an application to file with the Department of Homeland Security, I move that council's rules be suspended and this be given its 3rd reading.
I will second that motion. We have a motion and a second to suspend council statutory rules. All those in favor of the ordinance, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
And Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its 3rd reading.
Ordinance 2024-29.
Mr. Palmer.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2024-29.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Questions or comments? Ms. Frishy.
Hey, Rob, with this grant to do this training, would that help with certifying some of our guys to be able to teach some of the classes out at the new Strix Center?
That's the intent behind this, yes.
And then have we put a final plan together? Are we gonna keep it limited to just our staffing to do the training classes? Are we gonna let other, agencies be able to come in and do training without using our staffing?
So I know there have been conversations with the Ohio Fire Academy and the Ohio Chiefs they would like to, and of course with Bowling Green Fire School being just up the road, there are opportunities in the future that we would be able to utilize our space and train our city as well as county firefighters together and bring in external training. But the initial intent is for our firefighters and our trainers and our instructors to be able to instruct our individuals. So you have this new training come in, train the trainers, and then we can have that cycle of training in the future be right here in Findlay.
On that note, Rob, is there an opportunity, do you know, for county volunteers to also participate in this training? or would that be subsequent with once our guys are trained?
The way I believe this is written is this will be our Findlay firefighters that are trained here, go through the trainer, and then the opportunity would subsequently be there for the Hancock County firefighters.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? All in favor of adopting ordinance 2024-029, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
And Mr. DeArmond.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
First reading for ordinance 2024-30, an ordinance vacating a certain portion of a certain street hereinafter referred to as a Strong Avenue vacation in the city of Findlay, Ohio. First reading for ordinance 2024-31, an ordinance vacating a certain portion of a certain alley hereinafter referred to as a 6th Street vacation in the city of Findlay, Ohio. First reading for ordinance 2024-32, an ordinance authorizing to utilize awarded community development block grant funding as well as appropriate and transfer funds and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Warnicki.
Yes, since I'm on the RLF board, I was going to say this, but it's glad that somebody else actually mentioned this to you so you knew what was going on. But we were able to sit down with Beckett's Burger Bar and talk about this coming in. Sounds like it'll be pretty exciting out there. So they like to do this within one reading so that it can align with the loans coming from the bank as well. So I would make a motion to suspend rules.
Mr. Ballman, second. We have a motion and a second to suspend readings. All in favor of that motion, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
And Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended and ordinance 2024-032 will be given its second and third reading.
Ordinance 2024-32, ordinance 2024-32.
Ms. Warnicki.
Move to approve.
Second, Mr. Ballman. Questions or comments? All those in favor of adopting ordinance 2024-032, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
And Mr. Greeno.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted.
First reading for ordinance 2024-33. This is a replacement ordinance. An ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director and/or City Engineer of the City of Findlay, Ohio, to advertise for bids where required and enter into a contract or contracts for construction of various projects in accordance with the 2024 Department Equipment List, appropriating and transferring funds for said capital expenditures and declaring an emergency. First reading for ordinance 2024-34, an ordinance appropriating and transferring funds and declaring an emergency.
I make a motion that because we annually do this exact same ordinance, it seems like it's always newcomer, and getting them started early, especially with warm weather, gets us the best opportunity to take care of as many street pavings as possible, including doing add-ons. I make a motion that ordinance council statutory rules be suspended and ordinance 2024-034 be given its second and third reading. Second, Mr. Ballman. All those in favor of suspending council's statutory rules, please say aye after your name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Nay.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
And Mr. Niemeyer.
Aye.
Council statutory rules have been suspended, and this ordinance will be given its second and third reading.
Ordinance 2024-34, ordinance 2024-34.
Mr. Ballman.
Move for adoption of ordinance number 2024-034.
Second, Mr. Palmer. Questions or comments? All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2024-034, please say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Ms. Warnicki?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
Mr. Ballman?
Aye.
Mr. DeArmond?
Aye.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Greeno?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted. Old business. Mr. Stasiak.
I need to put a correction into the record. We have certain disclosure requirements with regard to some of our bonds that are out there, and the disclosure requirements are federal. The mayor recently gave a speech in which she said we had started the year with a general fund unappropriated balance of about $33.4 million. That is not correct. The correct amount we started the year with was about $30.5 million after budgeting. You're actually starting this year with a budgeted unappropriated balance in January of 2024 of $27,556,000. The other note I need to make is that it's important that this body realize and that we put into the record that that large balance is primarily due to one-time funds from the happenings, the windfalls in our business tax due to happenings with a couple particular corporations and large amounts of federal dollars coming into our coffers. Had those things not happened, we would probably be looking at a balance somewhere in the 15, maybe up $20 million balance, nowhere near 27 million. And we likely would have had a year or two of deficit spending. So that's an important correction. Thank you for letting me make that.
Other old business. New business. Ms. Frishy.
Recently, I had a short conversation with Councilman Whoopser the other night on it. But a couple years back, we dissolved our parking authority. I can't remember why, and I don't know if anybody can remind me, other than I know we removed the parking meters prior to that, and I know that I think Councilman Slough and Niemeyer were the ones who served on that committee, and I just think we didn't really meet was part of that. But I think there's a lot happening in our downtown with regards to parking, and our safety service director seems pretty busy with a lot of things because I've had a couple parking issues come up here at the last quarter of last year that we still don't have resolved. One of them is we had 187 folks ticketed for parking outside the lines on Main Street near Marathon because we had changed the lines, so we were seeing both. That's not resolved. And then the other thing is parking is 2-hour minimal parking, but it's not posted or known to the public that you cannot park more than 2 hours in one given block area. They combine that even if you're coming and going. I got to earn that parking ticket, but there's also an appeals process that Rob did not know about, but I guess that is online. I paid my ticket because I didn't have time to do that at the last minute. But I think those things, plus the fact that the county and the city are having some discussions regarding parking with city and county employees going forward with the new court building, that I think we need to bring back the parking authority and all work together to make sure we're addressing all of these issues in our downtown. And I don't know if I need to make a motion to do that, or if we just have some people showing interest. If nobody else shows interest besides myself, I would be glad to serve on a committee with who would be interested, and maybe the public might be then. But I think this is an important discussion, and there's a lot going on with parking in downtown. If anybody has input on the history, I'd love to hear it.
The parking authority had a bunch of different organizations in it. It was actually in our codified ordinances of the city of Findlay, and when we eliminated it, it had not met for maybe a decade. It listed organizations as being members in the parking authority that no longer existed in the city of Findlay, and for that reason, council thought it was best to eliminate the parking authority ordinance in our codified ordinances. And I think the consensus at that time was that any type of parking issues could be handled by the council standing street, sidewalk, and parking committee and then if it needed to go to working with other organizations, we could address it at that time.
So it goes, so my request of concern with parking should go to street, sidewalk.
I think that was council's, as I recall, that was council's reasoning at the time that the parking authority was removed,
So
or was
who-
eliminated.
So who is,
Mr.
who
Palmer
chairs
is
that?
chair of street, sidewalk, and parking.
So would you be willing to take that to committee, Councilman Palmer, to help out Rob and lessen his load a little bit and have some more ears to help with all these parking things in downtown?
Mr. Martin.
I appreciate your comments, and I also appreciate the fact that you've emailed me with some of your issues with parking downtown or in the H lot, and I have been very responsive to yours as well as other individuals' concerns. We have been very active in the conversations in trying to address parking before the building to the west of us was built. We have addressed the H and I lots. We continue to work downtown to optimize the parking situation that has been presented to us. Specifically, the paint in front of the marathon, we have been working actively with the Public Works Department to try to resolve the different things, the different paint, the sandblasting that didn't work, et cetera, et cetera. We have continued to work. We have not ignored the situation. We're making adjustments. We're looking to optimize the parking downtown, and it has nothing to do with my workload or my bandwidth or my time management that you didn't get the answer that you wanted. We're working through it. We're not ignoring it, and just be patient. I'm sorry you got a ticket that you didn't follow the ordinance.
Wait a minute.
Ms. Frishy.
We're going to make this personal, and that's unfortunate. So right now, no, I'm not making it personal. I want to support you and help you, and we did have a parking authority, and there is a lot happening in downtown. And the fact that I got a ticket for parking for 30 minutes and leaving, right? And then coming back 45 minutes later and parking for an hour, got a ticket for 2 hours and 23 minutes is silly. And the public does not know that policy. Every sign that is posted in downtown says 2-hour limit parking. It does not explicitly share that additional information, and folks are getting tickets. The same thing when folks are getting tickets for parking on Main Street, which I agree, after I have followed up with you repeatedly, that you went ahead and sandblasted, and you did. When I said, well, did you at least say not to ticket these folks on Main Street? This is not an argument discussion. This is supposed to be a constructive discussion, and bringing the committee back is only to help you. It is not to threaten you in any way, and that is why I asked for it to go to the street and sidewalk if we don't want to bring back the parking authority. And so my question before we went back and forth here was to Councilman Palmer to see if he would be interested in having that discussion for the public, not for me.
I'd be willing to have a meeting at the committee and have Rob, you'd be invited, and then we can get proper information and then decide what next steps are.
Mr. Harrington.
So I sent everybody, all council members, an email that I've been charged with appointing a council member to the 911 Program Review Committee. I let you know what what would be required. It's previously been one meeting a year, but there are a couple issues that we do need to address. One is that we're going to be transitioning into a NG 911 system, and that committee needs to have a representative for the city on it. The mayor will chair that meeting, discuss any budgets and such at that time. I've not heard back from anybody. I did mention that if I didn't hear back from anybody, I was going to assign somebody. If somebody would raise their hand, I would appreciate it. Mr. DeArmond, I appreciate that, and so I will let the mayor know, and you will be. I don't think there's a scheduled meeting right now unless Rob would know of one, but as soon as they're in, we'll let you know. Thank you very much.
And on behalf of everybody else on council, Dan, thank you. Other new business.
I was going to
Mr.
appoint
Wolfser.
Denny just because he wasn't here, but that wouldn't have been fair.
Mr. Wolfser.
I'd like to call an appropriations committee for Monday, March 11th. He'll be done at 4:30? 4:30. Oh, boy. The meeting with, what time's our thing? 5, 6. We could, is he coming into town? I would like to have him in this meeting. Could we get him there earlier prior to their, so we could do the appropriations prior to his meeting with?
I can talk to the mayor and see if we can back our stuff up, because I've got I've got bond counsel coming as well. Let me see what I can coordinate for
Okay.
you. You'd like 4 o'clock, I'm assuming?
No, actually, if we're going to take an hour, we'll probably need to be somewhere around 3. Councilwoman Frischi and I both have an event that night that we need to be at. So
Let me work with the mayor and see what we can get worked out, and I'll reach out to the advisor and bond counsel tomorrow.
very good. So we'll set the date at 3/11 with a time to be determined.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other new business. Seeing as though there is none, I would like to make a motion to call an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. There would be no other business of council after the executive session. So that is made as a motion. Second, Mr. Ballman. All those in favor of entering into an executive session to discuss a personnel matter, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. And council is adjourned into an executive session. There will be no business at the conclusion of the executive session.